Peace. Mental constructs, social constructs is everything. Right? So when you think about society as a whole, somebody had to mentally form these thoughts in their mind and then implement them physically. Which brings you to these social constructs. Right? So take fitness, right? So this is a fitness channel. And it's almost taboo to mix in other thoughts, other studies, other occupations, which I understand it, right? I do. Right? You don't necessarily want to have a fitness channel and then you're talking about fitness, wellness, health, and then you start talking about real estate, right? Right, and so it goes with the algorithm, right? So if you got people following you for fitness, health, and wellness, it's a good chance they're not following you for property, real estate, stocks, right? They're not following you for that, right? So you at the mercy of the algorithm, right? Even that is a construct, though. I'm a real philosophical, deep intellectual thinker. I like to deep dive into thoughts. And I don't really care about what channel it's on, I'm a build. I'm not at the mercy of views and likes, Now, don't get it twisted. I definitely appreciate views, like, engagement. I'm not limited to that, though, right? Because my belief, which is a construct as well, is that the thought, right, ideation, critical thinking will benefit anybody, right? Just be consistent, be more articulate, be able to convey your thoughts in a more sequenced manner, dabble in a little curiosity, smidget of entertainment, and then you'll get to where you're trying to get to just with your mouthpiece. So I'm just having a thought that I'm deep diving into constructs. Like everything is predicated on constructs. And then we literally get offended and we'll either get into diatribes or even more into physical confrontations over these constructs, right? Damn, it's crazy. I like to take constructs back to the beginning, or however far they go back to where they was noted or written down. Like, where did it come from? When you take the etymology of a word, right? You go back to the origin of the word. If you didn't know, I used to be a comic book collector when I was younger. So I'm very knowledgeable about comic books, in particular, Marvel and DC, right? Like super knowledgeable. And I used to love Marvel Universe, right? I think that was the name of a comic book that had the origins of all the characters in Marvel. And DC had Who's Who. That was their version of Marvel Universe. And I just love the origin stories. I've always loved origin stories. So you take it today, right? I love reading biographies and seeing what people come from? Like, what was their upbringing? You know, what was the challenges and hardships that they had to overcome to get to where they, you know, was quote unquote successful, or whatever they considered victorious, or what makes them remarkable or well renowned throughout history, you know? So I've always been on that. And now it may seem like I'm all over the board, but I'm going to keep going back to these social constructs, because it's an origin story. You go back to, where did this even come in at, you know? So, and that goes to absolutely everything. You know, people was pissed off about politics. I absolutely understand, right? You get pissed off about the politics and the actionable effects that it has on people, because this is real people's lives and they living, and, you know, it brings a lot of compassion, animosity, anger, right, across the board, right? So these constructs will elicit these emotions, and these emotions are real as hell, right? So I'm definitely not undermining the actual emotions behind the actions. Those are real. Like, I'll be the first one to say that money is fake. So when you say that to people, people really don't understand the context and be like, the fuck you mean money is fake? You know, money help you live, and money provides food and housing, and right, absolutely it do. Money is a construct that got perverted though, right? It's fake, right? So it's not even tangible. It's not even physical no more. It's all zeros on a computer screen, right? So that construct was created for trade in goods, and then it just got into this wicked vortex of, I will label it, let me see, what could I label it? I would call it nefarious capitalism, right? Yeah, I took a deep dive into Rockefeller. Rockefeller was a monster, you know. I mean, a capitalist monster. This dude was trying to lock down, he pretty much did lock down all the oil, and he put a chokehold on what you call it, the trains, man, like transportation with the trains. If I'm not mistaken, you know, don't quote me on it. I think it was Vanderbilt and them, but he put a headlock on those dudes. And that's why, if I'm not mistaken again, they created the law against monopolizing the industry. Because my man monopolized the industry, and he was just guerrilla getting dudes up out of there, smaller little companies. He was getting them up out of there in a real scandalous type way. So you went from trading goods, trying to keep track of it with money. The physical money was the paper dollars was associated with gold, right? So gold validated the paper money. Somewhere in the 60s or 50s or something, they got rid of, you know, having the gold represent money, because France was finessing the game, you know. And this shit is all loose, man. I'm all over the board with it, but you can look all this up, man. It's validation to it. You know, I might don't got the dates exact, but if you look it up, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying. And I'm just saying that's how, you know, constructs like dictate everything. This whole thing about pronouns and nouns and he, her, they. Bro, constructs are crazy. So then people live off these constructs and get freaking mad. Bro, when your ass is born, you born happy, just looking to live, to be in peace, to eat, to be healthy. Then you get perverted by the social constructs and whatever environment you raised in, right? So when you take kids, right, they're not racist. they inherit racism from whomever they raised around. And then they become racist, and then you just keep passing it down. Just like gang banging. These kids is born in these gang environments. They're not gang bangers, but they raised in that environment, so they take on those attributes. They take on that animosity. They take on that hatred against their so-called enemies, right? Social constructs. Then that shit becomes you, and then you own that shit. I'm not necessarily knocking social constructs. I just like to be aware of them. Because we here now, right? So this is a big giant ass chessboard. You here, you got to play. It ain't no, you don't want to play. Right? On rare occasions, you don't have to play, but you got to go off the grid. I've seen some off the grid living dudes in Canada. They wanted to get away from all the constructs. They wanted to just live. But they still was bound by the Canadian government off the land and what they can do and what they couldn't do, even though they was in the middle of nowhere, right? So even though you get off the grid, still some constructs that your ass still gonna have to be dealing with. Now, granted, if you're off the grid, you're going to be dealing with very, very minimum bullshit, right? So it's political constructs, it's social constructs. But I'm labeling social constructs as the umbrella to everything that goes under it, whether it's government, whether it's politics, whether it's humanity, people, right? Just anything that was man-made in terms of how to live and what we understand, even these words, right? English. When you're speaking English, some people get pissed off when somebody around you that's not speaking English. Right? Now, granted, right? Words are made to convey, to be able to communicate, so two people can understand what they're speaking to each other, right? So words are validity, right? We actually need words, right? We have to be able to communicate. And I'm saying all this to say, it brings me to a real balance once I always go back to these social constructs and how everything is made. Even the borders, right? The borders between countries, the state lines between states, all of that shit was just made, man. The fucking Gregorian calendar, man, right? All that shit is made, man. And when you ask a person like, hey, why is it leap year? People have no idea, like, what does it even mean? You know, how you add an extra year or you don't? How do you add an extra day or you don't? I looked it up before, but I done forgot because it don't even hold no significance, right? But again, that's just something that somebody just threw in there. Yeah, man. Shit is deep, but it's simple at the same time. It's simple. You here, you live, be a good person. And you don't need to be told to be a good person. You instinctively know to be a good person. Right? I don't need no sets of rules about to be a good person. Now, granted, once your ass get perverted with these wicked ass constructs, then yeah, you need to go back. You need to go back to the instructions about how to be a good person, because then you lose your way. So you can throw the Bible up in there, man. The Bible, the Quran, it'll help you get back on your path because you done lost your way. And yes, even that's a construct. I don't know what you think. It's a construct. because we instinctively know how to be good people. So I will that you understand what the build is about. And if you're a deep thinker and you into philosophy and taking a deep dive, this is a modern version of philosophy and just building, man. You know? So give me a like, man. Subscribe to the channel. Give me a comment. Let me know what you think about it. And we're just going to keep on living in these social constructs. And I implore you that if you know about it and you're aware of it, there's a good chance that you will find balance, and shit that you be going through is going to be real smooth, because you can always go back to the foundation of, it's just some shit. You just need to live and just be a good person and just get over the nonsense, especially the shit that you don't have no control over. That's the video, man. Peace.